Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Kaldheim, which is back for the winter season, the very snowy kind of set. Some pretty cool stuff. It is back in preparation for the Kaldheim Arena Open this weekend. Without further ado, let's just get into the draft here. There's two or three main pickups that I would consider here. They're all the uncommons. Glimpse the Cosmos is great for a Giants deck. It ends up being 2 card draw spells. In that archetype, you get to pick a card from the top 3, put it in your hand, and then do it again. If you have a giant on the board, you get to recast it from graveyard. So really nice for blue-red giants. It does lock us in a little bit. Then we have 2 great white uncommons. These lock us into a white aggressive strategy, but it could be any 2-color bear. It could be white-red, white-black. Those are the most common ones, but it could also be like white-green or something like that. So I think I'm going to take one of these. They're a little more open again than the Glimpse the Cosmos. We take the Clarion Spirit here. The other thing to consider about Glimpse the Cosmos, though, is that there are changelings in this set, and they are primarily in blue and green. So if you get any changelings, you can also recast your Glimpse the Cosmos, so that's another decent option there. Alright, there was no good snow stuff in Pack 1, but there certainly is in Pack 2. We have Shimmerdrift Veil for perfect snow mana fixing, Icehide Troll for a great snow mana sink, Berg Strider for just a very good value creature if you have just a single snow land. These are all pretty exceptional, and they're definitely the best cards in the pack here. There's no great aggressive follow-up to Clarion Spirit. There's like a Starnheim Courser that's fine, but not exciting. I think I'm just going to go with Berg Strider here. I think it's the best card individually, and it fits into the most decks. Pack 1, pick 3. Kind of weird to see Seraph Realm Eater pick 3. Card's pretty powerful. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard, it gets a +1/+1 from counter, and it allows you to choose if you want to remove all the counters from this, and if you do, you exile all the non-land cards with mana value less than the counters on it, so it's pretty good. It does tie us into both green and black, and it doesn't fit with either of our 2 first picks, which is awkward. But the snow decks can be pretty splashy, pretty multicolored, so we could take Seraph and end up in like green, black, blue pretty easily. That being said, we have Battlefield Raptor, which is a pretty powerful little aggro creature to go with Clarion Spirit. It also fills that 1-mana creature role you want with the card. So we have the Battlefield Raptor to go with Clarion Spirit, Snow-Covered Island to go with Berg Strider, or we could just jump ship and hop on something completely different with Seraph. I think I'm actually going to just take Snow-Covered Island here. I'm a huge Berg Strider fan, and taking the snow lands really highly for the snow archetypes is generally a great idea when you have cards like Berg Strider at the ready, and now we can continue in that direction towards a potential blue-black or blue-red snow deck here. So for blue-red, we're going to be a Giants archetype where Squash and Frostbite will be exceptional, and in blue-black, we can use cards like Narfi to get a lot of value throughout the game, constantly recurring this card over and over and over again. I really like the blue-red Giants archetype if we can end up there. So I think I'm going to take the Squash here. Well, Frostbite tends to get taken a little more early, and it's also great in the archetype. Take Frostbite, maybe if we're really lucky, wheel the Squash, and try to head towards blue-red Giants feels like a good spot. But even if we don't end up in blue-red Giants, Frostbite's a pretty good removal spell for like a red-white aggro deck if we get pushed in that direction instead. And yeah, pretty awkward here, because every pack seems like it has cards for different archetypes being the best cards in the pack. This is a pack where the best cards are aggro, just some decent equipment like Goldvein Pick and Tormentor's Helm, and that's literally it. Bind the Monster's kind of okay. Removal for a snow deck, just because it's blue removal, but it's not that exciting. Yeah, Pick, Helm, Stalwart here for the aggro deck all seem fine. I'll go for the Stalwart Valkyrie. It feels like at this point the equipment is not drafted super highly. Last time I tried to draft aggro, I just got 4 Goldvein picks without even really trying, so it should be easy to pick those up later if they do show up. Strongest card in this pack is Elven Bow, just for decent value. 3 mana for a 2/3 reach, and then you can keep moving this equipment around later. So good value play. Rootless Yew is another great value play if you have a lot of creatures with toughness 6 or greater in your deck. Primarily Ravenous Lindworms are what you want. So both of these are great value plays. Bow's a little more flexible with what we currently have. With the U, you do specifically need to find some big creatures to go with it, so I'll go Elven Bow here. But Fearless Pup isn't exciting for like red-white aggro, and really nothing's exciting for the snow deck outside of sort of the U, if we can get the Lindworms. Yeah, weird draft here. We might be getting pushed towards like some kind of weird green-white aggro hybrid deck here. Take the Bound in Gold now as the best card in the pack, just a decent removal spell. Not too much else going on here. Snakeskin Veil's fine. Port is fine in the very non-basic land heavy kind of 5-color snow decks. Code Spell Cleric and Elderleaf Mentor are both fine for our potential green-white aggro deck here, and there's not much else in the pack. I'm going to stay primarily on white here, take the Code Spell Cleric. We've got one core color to this deck. We could be white, red, white, green, white, blue. We really don't know yet. This pack is pretty garbage. Kettlemaster's okay at the top end of the curve, but that's the only thing in the pack that I think is really playable. Never been a huge fan of Pilfering Hawk, even in the snow decks. Take the Kettlemaster, I guess. Very, very unexciting. Alright, some decent, little cheap black creatures, or the decent red aggro creature, the Craven Hulk. It also fits for the Giants archetype. If we end up blue-red somehow. Yeah, I like Craven Hulk for red-white aggro or blue-red Giants. Pack's pretty bad. We can just take a Forging the Tyrite Sword. This card's okay if you have like a really good equipment in your deck. If the best equipment in your deck is a Gold Vein pick, then it's probably not making the cut, but if you get one of the Mythics, it's fine. I think I drafted it pretty highly last time. I'll just go for Koma's Faithful over it. Because, again, last deck that we drafted that was red-white aggro, we did end up with like 4 Gold Vein pick and still didn't even really want to play the Forging the Tyrite Sword. Alright, Code Spell Cleric. The black-white aggro deck is pretty dedicated to, well, no, Code Spell Cleric's fine, but Disdainful Stroke's really nice in blue, because all of the snow decks tend to play some big, high-value late-game plays. So maybe if we end up in like blue-white or something, I don't think a second Code Spell Cleric is going to be super exciting, but theoretically the black-white archetype is an aggro deck focused around casting 2 spells in 1 turn as often as possible. I just don't think Code Spell Cleric's the most exciting thing you could be doing in the archetype. Alright, sad day to see a Spirit of the Alder Guard, because it's an exceptional snow card that can head you in that direction, but we only have 1 snow land. So I don't think we can easily head in that direction here. It did feel like a lot of the snow lands were getting picked up relatively quickly. I don't think we can be like a green X snow deck too easily in this draft pod. We can take Cyclone Summoner towards Giants, but we didn't wheel the Squash. But still a pretty good card, even if we're just like blue-white. Or I can take the Battlefield Raptor and just dedicate myself to just like black-white aggro. Or Lindworm and green. I'm just going to take the Cyclone Summoner. We might be some kind of weird blue-white deck. Okay, well, even if Blue-Red Giants isn't open, if we get Battle of Frost and Fire and Cyclone Summoner, we are going to just jam ourselves into that archetype. We're just going to wedge ourselves into that archetype no matter how many people are drafting it, because this card is absurd if you're in a Giants deck. It's a one-sided board wipe, because you get to keep all your Giants on board and deal 4 damage to every other creature. Then, that's not it. You also get to scry 3 and then maybe draw some extra cards by playing some big spells. Battle of Frost and Fire is ridiculous, and we're going to take it here. We would love to wheel Bergstrider, but that's pretty much impossible. So hopefully we can wheel a Craven Hulk or a Surtland Frostpire, which would also be good. Alright, get a Bergstrider here, pick 3. I'm going to scoop it up before it disappears from existence. Definitely need to pick up some solid Giants as quickly as possible for this Blue-Red Giants archetype, because it does seem contested at the table. There's an Avalanche color, but again, I only have 1 Snowland right now, and I really like Squash in the Snow archetype. Avalanche color is really good too, but it is a 1/3 body. It's kind of fragile. It just gets killed, and then you're out of stuff to do. But if it doesn't get killed, it will win you games. But I'm hoping, if we're going to be primarily towards Blue-Red Giants, we'll have enough like chunky 4/4s and stuff to end games where we really just want to make sure we have more interaction, more ways to stop our opponent's decks from really popping off. So I'm going to take this squash here because we didn't wheel the last one. We're definitely not going to wheel the Avalanche Caller or the Highland Forest, so I don't think we're getting anything back from this pack, whatever we choose. Alright, this pack's pretty bad, but I suppose there's a Replicating Ring for another Snow Source for all of our Bergstriders. It also ramps us up into big plays, which is a lot of what the Giant stack is doing. Could take World Tree and end up being a very splashy, snowy kind of Giant stack. But Replicating Ring also helps for splashing and fits into just the 2-color deck. Ooh, pick 6 Aegar the Freezing Flame. Maybe Giants are not drafted in this draft pod very heavily. It's just squash for just removal in general was being taken there, because Aegar the Freezing Flame is one of the best reasons to be in Giants, allowing you to draw a card every time you do excess damage to any creature with a Giant, Wizard, or spell. So it works off of our burn spells, works off of our Giants trading in combat. Super good stuff. We'll take the Aegar here for sure. Very happy with that one. Very unhappy with the Raven form generally, because it is worse than a 1-for-1 removal spell because you give your opponent something back for whatever you're getting rid of. I guess I would rather just take Pilfering Hawk so we actually have some kind of cheap creature, but it's not very exciting. Even though Pyre of Heroes looks like a good card for a deck focused on one creature type, it's not really, because it's just so narrow even then, and slow. Alright, we did get a Craven Hulk back. We'll scoop it up. I guess that was pick 8, so that wasn't wheeling, but still. Mists of Liara might have to be what we do for early game plays, because there are no cheap Giants. We just need random 2-mana blue or red like dwarves and stuff. Yeah, we have so little to do early game, we could end up having to use Mists of Liara just to stay alive. I don't think Run Amok is excellent in this archetype. It is a very powerful card in this set, but for a different kind of deck. I'm actually going to take Surtland Frostpyre over the 3rd Craven Hulk, because it's really nice to have a board wipe attached to one of your lands, potentially. Now we have a Strategic Planning, just set up some card draw in the early game. Brian Barrow Intruder, I guess, gives us a random filler early game creature. Depart the Realm gives us good cheap interaction. We know what we're trying to do here for sure. Don't know how good it's going to work out for us. Alright, well, it looks like it might work out reasonably because there's tons of great cards here. We're probably going to take Basalt Ravager. This is just the strongest card in the pack for the Giants archetype, dealing damage to any target equal to the number of Giants we control when it hits the board. So a 4-mana 4/2 that comes with a removal spell is pretty busted. It's obviously great with Aegar, potentially drawing us a card there immediately, and then whenever it trades off. But there's also Behold the Multiverse and Squash that would be phenomenal, but it does seem like blue and red are both pretty heavily drafted, just maybe not specifically the Giants archetype. So if we don't get either of those back, maybe we get a Craven, well, maybe we get a Snow-Covered Mountain, and if we don't get that, maybe we get a Craven Hulk. So we've got a good list of stuff that could come back. Nothing great here. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. This is a very empty pack. For one card being taken out of it, all the blue and red cards are just garbage for this deck. Very sad to see after just one card taken. Inger Runize is the closest to something good for us, but we already have a lot of 4 or 5 mana plays. We really need 2s and 3s. I have to just splash in white. I might have to just splash in white, so I'll take another good like white bomb if we do splash the color. If we foretell this, we can cast this for just a white and 2. So if we end up having to splash white, we just take this. We end up like blue-white splash red Giants. That could be a thing if that happens. Another Bergstrider. It's going to be awkward with one snow land in the deck, but it's still pretty good. Even just as a 4/4 that just taps a thing. Even if it doesn't lock it down. It's fine. Okay. Big late game Cinderheart Giant. Still looking for those early game plays more. Maybe I just take Snow-Covered Plains and just accept defeat. use our white spells for our early game plays, but we don't even have white early game plays. We have one Clarion Spirit with like no chance at casting 2 spells in 1 turn. I do need snowlands enough that I might just play Snow-Covered Plains as a colorless land in here too, though. And then if we're going to do that anyway, we might be splashing. Yeah, Vega's good in a deck that's going to do a lot of foretelling, but it's like if we're splashing, we just take Snow-Covered Plains to actually activate our Bergstriders, that's their name. Some white cards and a Spirit of the Alder Guard that we can't use. We could take Snow-Covered Plains again for the white splash to also give us snow sources, or we could just take another Disdainful Stroke, which is a good late game counter spell, but just looking for more early game creatures. I'm going to take the Disdainful Stroke and really fingers crossed. We just want 2 mana 2/2s. Any garbage blue or red 2 mana 2/2s to come into the deck, but none of those. We'll just take a bunch of counter spells, I guess. Berserker would be okay. I'd rather just have the counter spell though. More big late game plays that we don't need. I'm not going to play a Tyrite Sanctum, even though I do have 1 legendary Agar in here. I don't think I'm going to run a colorless land. Take a Seize the Spoils if we do any splashing. Getting some treasure tokens could help. Theoretically, I could spend 2 mana to foretell a Scorn Effigy, and then it's kind of a 2 mana 2/3. It's a 2 mana 2/3 that comes into play tapped, sort of. Gives us something to do with our mana turn 2. Side of Praying. I think I just want more Giants, though. If there wasn't a Craven Hulk in there, I'd probably take it. But it wouldn't be great. Just filling a role that we kind of need, even if it's bad cards going in there. Alright, well, I guess we're just a deck that crosses its fingers and hopes not to play against aggro. I mean, we do have the a couple board wipes against aggro, Battle of Frost and Fire and Surtland Frostpire. If they don't kill us fast enough, we can wipe the board. How are we going to build this pile of nonsense? This is 41 cards. Feels like a white splash deck. What are the worst cards in here? If I'm splashing white, we keep the Seize the Spoils in. I just prefer Disdainful Stroke over Saw It Coming for the most part. All of our early game blue cards are just super bad. Cut all of this for white. That wouldn't even be a white splash, though. That would just be white as a core color, and I don't have that many white cards, right? I just play Clarion Spirit, Protector to foretell and play on 3. Vega for our foretell cards. Guess I only have... If I cut Saw It Coming, the only foretell cards I have are Glorious Protector. And that's it? Vega just doesn't make the cut. 4 mana, 3/2 flyer. That doesn't help my mana curve at all. Yeah, the splash just doesn't help the curve whatsoever. Well, splash for Protector is at least basically free. So I'm going to run these Snow-Covered Plains to trigger our Bergstriders. And we could just put 1 more Plains in there, and then we have 3 Plains and a Replicating Ring, so 4 white sources, plus Seize the Spoils. I'd probably even just run 2 Snow-Covered Plains, 1 Replicating Ring, 1 Seize the Spoils for the white splash. 8. 1, 2, 8, 9, 15, 16. We need another land in here. So we get to cut 2 cards. I guess we're keeping Pilfering Hawk in, even though it's super bad. And then I guess our cheapest interaction, Depart the Realm. Alright. We're going to have some issues with quick decks, but maybe Battle of Frost and Fire can be there to win those matchups. I think our mana base is correct. We have 11 blue, 10 red, 1 white. It's 8, 7, 2. Yeah. Seems good to me. Alright, weird draft pod, weird draft in general. But we'll see how it does. Wait, I don't know what happened here, but my deck says it's 38 cards. 1, 2, 9, 10, 17 lands. What, was it 38 cards this whole time? What did I accidentally cut something? I guess I did my math wrong and it was 38 cards. I just put 2 back in then. Put the super bad intruder. Something to do early game and then slap in a Saw It Coming. Okay. I guess so. Now we're a deck. Now we're a 40 card deck. Alright, here's a look at the deck we're going to be playing today. This is a blue-red Giants deck. We've got some huge late game stuff. Tons of 4/4s in the deck between Craven Hulks and Bergstriders. Assault Ravagers come in and shoot something down. Agar draws us cards as our Giants kill creatures. And Cyclone Summoner can be a one-sided bouncing kind of board wipe like Cyclonic Rift. Battle of Frost and Fire can be a one-sided actual board wipe, dealing 4 damage to all non-giants. Then we have some nice removal spells and counter spells for interaction between Squash, Frostbite, Double Disdainful Stroke, and Saw It Coming there. The biggest threat, or the biggest issue that we have in this game, is the lack of good early game plays. We have some really filler stuff there, like Pilfering Hawk and Brine Barrow Intruder, as well as maybe Mists of Lityara or Depart the Realm to stop early aggro. So we're relying a lot on hoping to draw Battle of Frost and Fire in the correct matchups to survive the early game. But for late game stuff, we got a bunch of big chunky 4/4 giants, and we'll see what we can do with them. So without further ado, let's head into the gameplay. I've changed my mind. One final rendition to this deck. Intruder is so low impact, I'm actually just going to run an 18th land over it because our curve is so high, because we are going to really die. We don't hit lands at the right time, so we'll add another land in there, and now we'll get into the gameplay. Here we are in game 1. We're not going to be doing anything till turn 3. That's just a general issue in our deck, but outside of that, the hand is great. If they can't interact with our Agar, we're going to get really good value off Squash, Basalt Ravager, all kinds of stuff shooting creatures down, so we'll see what happens here. Opponent does have a turn 2 play on the play, which is going to be brutal for us. This is where we could really be losing. If we're on the draw against decks that get to go 2-drop into 3-drop, that's where our lack of early game plays is going to really punish us. It's already bad enough being on the draw when your opponent curves out, but when you just don't have anything to do early game, you're going to have a really rough time, so fingers crossed here. It's already looking like a pretty bad game for us. Opponent on the play with 2-drop into 3-drop. And the removal for Agar. Absolutely disgusting. Down to 14, and now our Basalt Ravager doesn't do anything yet. We can only play a Craven Hulk, which cannot block alone. So it's not even going to impact the board. I could play the Ravager, but it's not going to kill anything when I play it, so I don't think it's worth it. Bergstrider could be a pretty good way to stabilize here, lock down that Haji mob for a turn. But we are down to 7. This is brutal. The Cavalry as well being the 2-drop, so our opponent went 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop on the play. It's going to be brutal in any matchup, but again, especially brutal for our deck. We're probably just dead, because they likely play another creature, give it haste here, to the point where I'm not even going to attack with Craven Hulk, because if Bergstrider remains on board, then we can block with our Craven Hulk. Okay. Well, this looks really good for us. We'll see. sure is. I did the wrong block, though. I should have kept the Bergstrider, not the Craven Hulk. That was a doofus idea there. But Basalt Ravager's huge here, and I have Squash still. Oh, that's the wrong... Oh, it's not enough damage. I don't know what I don't know why I thought it would be 4 damage. I should have... Oh my god. My brain died there. I think I was going to kill both of them, but I just did it in the wrong order where I was going to like squash mob and shoot cavalry. Well, that's a huge punt. I guess they get to keep cavalry then. Yeah, that... I hate the human brain. Can I just remove my brain and just replace it with an AI that's very good at magic? Okay. Why? Oh, because they both have 4 toughness anyway. Okay. Okay. I was going to say, maybe I can get them with the 6 squash 2 for 1, but then I was like, oh, they're not choosing to fight with a 5/4? It's because all my creatures have 4 power. Oh, this Horizon Seeker is going to be a 5 power creature, and my Craven Hulk can't block because I punted my block earlier and kept my Craven Hulk alive instead of my Bergstrider. We could have won this game. I don't know what happened to my brain today. It's just mashed potatoes. Well, that's pretty tilting. I'm probably going to take a break after this game and come back some other time where I'm in a more magic-focused mindset, because we should have won this game. Those were some massive misplays these last couple turns. Just trying to crank the video out when I'm not in a good magic playing headspace right now. Playing like an absolute fool. Yep, and we're super dead. I guess technically not yet. I should have won this game handedly. It's a pretty good exile for them, but we have the Disdainful Stroke up. I can't draw discard because I'm just going to mill myself because I need Disdainful Stroke for their struggle. Now I need to draw a creature for Craven Hulk. Valor, Frost, and Fire works. That does kill the Horizon Seeker. But we're still in it. And then we scry 3 looking for a big high mana play. Frostpire is a sorcery. Yes. Another Craven Hulk. If they play a haste creature, we're just going to die. I think I want Craven Hulk. So I'm just going to have to play Bergstrider here so that I don't die to a haste creature. I think I just want more creatures that could block haste stuff. Alright, Frostbite's a very reasonable draw. Now I survive a 3 mana 3/2 haste, which is the main one they could have. That's the one that's a common. Fearless Pup does not have haste. Depart the Realm and Frostbite. Now I can Depart the Realm whatever they play after this, if they survive this attack. Okay, well, I played horribly and we lucked out pretty hard there to get that victory. I am gonna take a break and come back to the Magic when I'm a little more focused, because those were some really bad lines to start off this draft, but luckily just the powerful stuff in the deck makes up for it and gets us our first win in a game we probably didn't deserve to win. Alright, here we are for the next game of Magic. We are keeping this hand primarily because of the Replicating Ring to make sure we have the mana to actually play our blue spells. Does look super bad because the hand is exceptionally slow, but every single hand we draw is going to be exceptionally slow. So it's got our mana, it's got high impact late game plays, that's about all we can hope for with this deck. Guardian Gladewalker turn 2 is what our opponent's going to start it off with here. Drop a Replicating Ring and have Depart the Realm at the ready, or I can't play the Hawk because they don't have the blue source yet. Looked like a white card because of the snow. Because of the snow kind of theming on the card. Hit us for 2 with Gladewalker. Drop a Swamp and drop an Icehide Troll. I just want to slow my opponent down here while I can. Bounce that Icehide Troll. Try to get to our high mana cost late game plays. There's our island. We drop a Craven Hulk and pass the turn. Start attacking with a 4/4 every turn. We're only 2 mana away from casting our Cyclone Summoner, which is going to keep our Craven Hulk and the Cyclone Summoner on board, but bounce all of our opponent's cards. Icehide Troll is the play. We've got 1 mana up, which is not enough to pump the troll. We can actually just hard cast a Glorious Protector, which is super sweet. I don't even have to foretell it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got enough mana to play the Hawk and the Protector, so I guess that's what we're doing here. Did not expect to ever be casting the Glorious Protector for double white, but I guess that's what's happening this game. Pass the turn. They can go ahead and Frostbite our Pilfering Hawk if they want. Go and Protector it, so if the Protector dies, we get the Hawk back, and also if we bounce the Protector, we also get the Hawk back. Which we'll probably do with our Cyclone Summoner pretty soon, unless this is an Angel Wizard, but it is an Angel Cleric. So the Cyclone Summoner will bounce our Glorious Protector, which will return up our Pilfering Hawk to the board. Seize the spoils from our opponent, discard a card, draw 2, get a treasure. A snow-covered forest. Tons of snow mana for our opponent here. They are definitely on the dedicated snow deck. The Icehide Troll, very active. They are going to Demon Bolt the Protector, give us back our Pilfering Hawk. Decent value for us there. Send in for 4, we'll crack back for 5, and then bounce the board. Alright, if I don't hit a land for Summoner, we will not bounce the board. Instead, I will lock down the Icehide Troll with the Berg Strider. Just needing that 1 more mana to cast the Cyclone Summoner. Hit our opponent for 8 guaranteed because we bounce all their creatures. Well, we don't bounce the Gladewalker. That is an important thing to mention that I didn't realize earlier. The Gladewalker is actually a changeling. It's not a creature type that's going to stick around. Embersturm Predator is a pretty great card here. We really need that land for the Summoner now. And we did hit it. Yeah, we super need to bounce this thing, otherwise they sack a Gladewalker, make it a 4/4 indestructible. I think we just slam down Summoner attack with everybody. They can chump with Gladewalker and then take 4, go to 7 life, and then they have to spend all their mana recasting stuff. If I just attack with both my 4/4s instead, they sack Gladewalker to make Predator bigger, kill one of my things, I hit them for 4, then I bounce their board. That's just worse. I think we just have to slam this down. Bounce everything but the Gladewalker here. And they kind of have to chump. I guess they don't have to. They can go to 3 life against the red deck if they want to. Basalt Ravager off the top would be super lethal. We've got more than enough mana to just recast all our cards. Dwarven Reinforcement's very good here. Gives them multiple blockers, make it easier to survive. They actually don't have the red source to play the Embersturm Predator now, though, so they won't have an indestructible blocker for our 4/4s. Yeah, and they're just going to scoop them up. I don't know if that's because it was a misplay or just they didn't have a line good enough to recover either way. I could definitely see either, but we'll definitely take that victory. We are 2-0 now, heading into game 3. Alright, here we go again with a super slow hand, but that's a super slow keep. We don't have any red sources, but we've got the mists against aggressive stuff, and then, again, our best late game play, Cyclone Summoner. Well, we're just gonna sit here and do nothing for a while, as our deck does. We are against red, but they are red-green, which is a relatively slow archetype for the red decks in the format. Hitting some awkward draws. We kept the mono blue hand. We have now drawn exclusively red cards, so we could get punished pretty hard for this, but it is a slow matchup. Opponent's just hitting us for 1 damage a turn for now, and there's the red source for us. Now we get to curve out from this point on. Craven Hulk will start that off. Next turn we might go Agar, holding up Mists of Lityara instead of playing Bergstrider, since we don't have the snow mana to get a huge impact from Bergstrider's Enter the Battlefield effect anyway. Tyvar Kell, that's threatening. They make a 1/1 elf they can chump block with to protect Tyvar. Well, we're going to play Agar and then attack Tyvar, I think. I think that's probably better than playing Bergstrider, even though I hit the snow source for it. I could play Bergstrider, tap the 1/1, attack Tyvar. They're forced to chump with Masked Vandal. But then they can just keep making 1/1s to protect Tyvar. I think I'd rather play Agar so that I draw cards as they make chump blocks to save Tyvar. I guess I don't draw a card if they block with Masked Vandal, but they're probably going to block with the Elf Warrior here. Oh, all their elves add black mana now too? This is really bad. This is really, really bad. Actually super close. Yeah, I don't need to hold up Mists at all. Could draw 1 card by going with Agar, but these are actually both very equivalently valuable, so they'll probably just block with Masked. Oh wait, no, we do draw a card if we kill Masked Vandal. What am I on about? Okay, since we draw a card no matter what, I go Agar, attack Tyvar. I kill one of those and draw a card. Drawing a card is better than just locking down one of those. Sorry, I got Craven Hulk and Agar's power mixed up, I think. Alright. So Tyvar's going to do some nasty stuff, but as long as Tyvar's around, we're probably going to keep drawing a bunch of cards off of our Agar as well. So we'll both do some busted things this game. Has to get to 6 loyalty to ultimate, otherwise they just keep getting +1/+1 counters, maybe Death Touch. Or they get 1/1s. It's not horrific. The mana ramp's one of the scariest parts. Cyclone Summoner is obviously going to be incredible against that later. It's going to bounce all the tokens back to hand. So, yeah, for now, we'll just do everything we can. Just sit here, drawing a ton of cards, and then eventually Cyclone Summoner for the one-sided Cyclonic Rift, bouncing all of their stuff to hand and hitting them with every single giant we have on board.
Join me in battle.
Here's another Masked Vandal. Sure. Nothing to exile with that. And then a Basalt Ravager to be enough damage to kill Agar. That's incredibly brutal, but there's nothing I can do about it, so Agar is just dead here. That's pretty devastating, and they can only do that because of the mana ramp provided by Tyvar and the bonus elf provided by Tyvar, so this is as much Tyvar's win as it is Basalt Ravager's. Devastating stuff from our opponent. There's a Disdainful Stroke after they've played their 2 incredibly valuable 4-mana plays. I can't really afford to hold up Disdainful Stroke when the other option is to slam down a Bergstrider. I gotta just play Bergstrider and then play Cyclone Summoner next turn. Lock down the Basalt Ravager because that's the only creature that will still be on their board after we play Cyclone Summoner. Actually just going to hit the face here because I'm going to kill all their creatures with Cyclone Summoner anyway. They can keep the 1/1 because I'm just going to kill it next turn. The other option is if I attack Tyvarkel, I would be able to kill their 1/1, but then I wouldn't really get anything out of that exchange because I'm just going to kill the 1/1 next turn anyway. So just get some damage to the face there. If I could somehow just magically have 1,000,000 mana, I suppose I could play Cyclone Summoner and then Disdainful Stroke, which would be hilarious, but we're not going to be making it to 9 mana. We got to just go for the Summoner. ASAP. Lock in 8 damage to their face, try to slow them down enough to keep pressure on their life total here. Suppose if we draw into like a Battle of the Frost Giants or whatever, that'll be pretty good. They're trying to do like a Jarl or something. I'll take 2 damage, whatever. Go to 17. They do have a Tyvar, so they could be... I think Jarl of the Forsaken or whatever is a an elf cleric or something in black-green. Alright, I guess we'll find... Ooh, this deals damage to planeswalkers too. I guess I'll Battle of Frost and Fire instead of Cyclone Summoner, because they don't have blue mana to counter this. So we Battle of Frost and Fire, hold up a Disdainful Stroke, and now, when I play Cyclone Summoner, I'm going to pick up my Battle of Frost and Fire and have a second copy to cast on them later. Incredible draw for us. Absolutely incredible draw. So we're not shooting the Masked Vandals, but they're both tapped anyway. I guess that was another thing. I keep forgetting about the changelings. Hold up our Disdainful Stroke until the end of their turn. Rather be able to Disdainful Stroke than stop 3 of this damage. Okay. I'm pretty sure I take 8, go to 9, and I'm just like, alright. Arnie slays the troll, so the intent here is to have that fight off. Mists of Lityara is only going to make it a 5/6, so it will still be able to win the fight. Yep, that's brutal. I can't counter that with Disdainful Stroke. So there goes Bergstrider, I guess. Yep. Okay. Don't see any reason to Mists of Lityara right now. Untap Scry. Squash is obviously huge. Frostbite's also great. These are both exceptional. I guess we take the Frostbite first because I'm just going to want to kill... No, we take Squash because Frostbite's not going to kill this because they can put 2 counters on it. Yep, Squash and then Frostbite's also fine. I hate that Cyclone Summoner is going to pick up their Arnie Slays the Troll, but unless they draw another Mammoth Growth, it's not like they're going to have a great target for it. So we're going to have a 7/7. If they can trade Ravager into Hulk, that's fine. Oh, this does stop them from getting the counters. Cyclone Summoner makes things so interesting. The fact that it's hitting all the non-land permanents, so I actually, yeah, they're not going to get the +1/+1 counters, so I should have kept Frostbite as the first card there. Well, that's super nasty. That is an incredible other card to have in your hand. Oh, I guess it doesn't. It only buffs up to 4 toughness, so it still isn't going to make something big enough to win the fight against Craven Hulk. I thought that was going to make Ravager a 5 toughness creature, because that elf's a 2/3, but it's because the elf's a 1/1 getting +1/+2, so they can give the Ravager +1/+2, but it's still not big enough to win the fight against the Craven Hulk. I trade with the Hulk. Wouldn't trade it either way, so that moving the bow around was just for fun, I guess. I can now just kill their 1/1, set up more scrying, and hold up Disdainful Stroke. Squash whatever they're going to put counters on here. They have to chump block. Alright, they have to chump block. We squash their final Vandal. And they're entirely playing off the top. Alright, it's a squash of their own, which is 1 damage away from killing our summoner, so they're just going to squash their own creature there. And scoop them up. That is going to be 3-0 for this Blue-Red Giants deck with like no early game, but wow, is the late game potentially powerful here. So no matter what happens, an average run out of this deck, which is honestly more than I was going to expect. Again, I think the deck has some pretty big flaws. During that whole first pack, we didn't really know exactly where we were going, so we had to spend a lot of time dirtling around between a bunch of different archetypes. We did find our footing in the second pack with the Battle of Frost and Fire that was passed to us, but we're still running some mediocre cards, and we've got a lack of great early game interaction, just the 1 Frostbite, the Depart the Realm Mists of Lityara, and the Mists of Lityara obviously has been pretty bad in all the games so far, but overall, the deck's been playing really well because of the powerful late game, just big beefy giants, so whatever happens from here, I'm perfectly happy with a nice 3-3 run out of this deck. I don't think this was a draft that went perfectly according to plan, so 3-3 or better, I'll take it. Alright, this is a hand I think I have to mulligan with 3 off-color cards, only a Craven Hulk to play, and we need a land to get to it. Probably our first mulligan of the day. Snap keep. Not like a beautiful keep, but we'll do it. And Pilfering Hawk is so low impact, I'm even just going to ditch it here, even though it's my 2-mana play. Which is probably not right, but it just never really does anything. It gets like 1 chump block done. It can loot for us if we hit the Snow Source, but we don't have the Snow Source in hand, which is what makes me feel okay about just ditching it there. So we're playing against a red-white. Luckily, they didn't play any creatures yet. This is a matchup that could go horrifically for us. But again, luckily they haven't played any creatures yet. They did play one on turn 3, but I'm going to hold on to the Mists, and we're going to go ahead and probably Mists the Gold Maw champion after they throw a pick on it and try to get some damage off to get treasures. Cole the Forge Master, well, that only gives tokens +1/+1. It just makes it so if the champion dies, it goes back to their hand. So we do still get full value off the Mists of Lityara here. So this is the first time we're actually getting a great deal for Mists of Lityara. Basically just stop Gold Maw champion from mattering a ton until they really want to boast with it. And stop them from getting the treasure token this turn because they had the pick on it. So good stuff from Mists of Lityara. It has done a thing this time, and now we're just going to keep slamming down Craven Hulks, and if I can keep 2 of them on board, they can technically both block. Alright, so getting that treasure from Cole the Forge Master here. See what they use it on. Scary Firewalker. Kind of got to play the defensive here. I'm just going to hold on to Craven Hulk. If I attack in, they can block with Champion and it'll go back to their hand because of Cole's ability, because it was enchanted. So I need to make sure that I specifically don't kill the Champion, or else I'm just letting them redraw it with no mists on it. Yeah, I guess the big issue here now is they can attack with the Champion just to boast one of my Hulks down, and then I can't make any blocks. So things are just lining up pretty awkwardly for us. Yeah, The fact the one match where the -3/-0 from Mists of Lityara actually matters a little bit is the match where our opponent has Cole the Forge Master for the hard counter is pretty brutal. Mists of Lityara really not looking like a very good Magic card today. Doesn't look like a good Magic card often, but I thought today might be its day. It's definitely not. So their best line here would be attack everybody, boast with champion, and then I can't block anything. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they don't see that. Awesome, they did not see the line, so I do actually get to make blocks here. But yeah, they could hit us for 7, 8, 9, and I had no blocks in response. They'd get the treasure back anyway. Yep, we gotta play it real defensively like this. Ooh, they have a run-amok in hand? That's pretty gross. Super gross. Alright, I guess this is tied for the best line. I still think they absolutely could have just went for the on-board boast attack and it would have been solid. Well, now I gotta just kill both of these while I can, which is gonna keep me from casting Summoner for a while, which is brutal, but I get the 2-for-1 kill here and get to scry into hopefully some playables. Oh, yeah. Okay. We've got a good chance now. Battle of Frost and Fire is gonna be our next draw, and then an Agar. Never mind, we're still very in this, even though I had to sack my potential 7th land for the Cyclone Summoner. We'll just wait. We'll just wait quite some time for Cyclone Summoner, because our opponent's down to 1 card in hand. And we're about to blow up their entire board, I think. Scry with the Battle of Frost and Fire next turn. Again, I don't get to do the Cyclone Summoner bounce the Battle of Frost and Fire thing there. Maybe I should have gotten greedy and dumped Agar on the bottom just to try to hit another land, because if I go Battle of Frost and Fire into land, then I do pick it up. Then it'd be pretty hard to lose. I probably should have gotten greedy there. Oh, just playing some 5-drops next turn is pretty good. So we play an Agar and we're okay with the 1-for-1 trade into Story Seeker. We hold up a Disdainful Stroke against any good top deck. And then we just play a Bergstrider next turn to draw 2 and discard a card. And the 2 that we're going to draw are going to be Squash and another thing, right? I top deck Bergstrider, play it, draw Bergstrider, Squash, then I discard maybe Disdainful Stroke. Yeah, I think I keep all these in this exact order because I'm going to want to play Bergstrider next turn. But for this turn, we play Agar. Kind of, it's always going to be sad to just trade Agar off, but I genuinely think it's probably worth it here. Well, we're at 15 life. No, it can't be. It can't be worth it. We're at 15 life. Let them have their treasure. Let them have their life gain. Draw our Bergstrider, Squash, and discard the Disdainful Stroke, I guess, since we didn't need to use it. Send Agar in. Well, their Foretold card is not like a Demon Bolt or something. So we do have a Bergstrider up to block the Story Seeker. They are a red-white deck, so I don't think there's like a ton of things that the... we don't get to lock it down because we don't have a Snowland. They're a red-white deck, so I don't think they're going to have a ton of cards that are going to be 4 mana or greater. It's a lot of 2-drops and really aggressive creatures and stuff like that. Squash versus Bergstrider. If I squash, I draw a card instantaneously, but I can also just send in this Bergstrider and play another one. Also pretty good. Just all 4/4s all day against the 3/3. I have no idea what their Foretold card is. If it was Kaya's Onslaught, they would have attacked already. +1/+1 double strike. If it was Demon Bolt, they would have used it already. What other white and red cards could you have? Maybe it's a blue card, but they've got the treasure. Would use that. Oh, that's a mega bomb. Showdown of the Scalds draws them 4 cards and makes it so every time they cast a spell, they get a counter on a creature. So now they can cast a Run-Amok here. Story Seeker becomes a 6/6. They only have enough mana for Run-Amok though, but it's a 6/6 fighting against 7 power toughness. Yeah, they don't have a good attack yet. But next turn they get +1/+1 counters as they cast their spells, so we really need to hold up the Squash to shoot the Story Seeker, which I can do even if I play a Craven Hulk. So I'm going to play Craven Hulk. I'm going to be super willing to block the Story Seeker, and then I'm just going to hold up a Squash. Because they have cards like Run Amok, I don't think they're going to want to take the trade on blocks, so maybe I'm supposed to hold up Bergstrider Craven Hulk instead of Agar. So I definitely want to declare a block on Story Seeker to get them to go Run Amok, and then Squash in response to that. I guess I could declare a block with Agar, Craven Hulk. But I can't attack with everybody here because Craven Hulk cannot block alone. Alright, another Story Seeker. They get a +1/+1 counter wherever. The first Story Seeker now a 4/4 with the pick on it. Tormentor's Helm. Uh-oh. I might have to just squash this before they get into combat. Okay, if they Tormentor's Helm the other one, we're probably good. If they have 2 instants here, we're going to get got, but if it's just Run Amok, we win this interaction pretty well. Okay, there's Run Amok. Respond with Squash. Kill that, draw a card. Alright, huge stuff. It does resolve. Now a Basalt Ravager with 5 Giants on board to kill Story Seeker and draw a card. Okay, we won't draw the card if they put the pick on it, but we'll still kill Story Seeker unless they play another spell. I could also just Cyclone Summon and put everything back in the hand. These are both tremendously rude. I guess we'll Cyclone Summoner. It's even more rude. Everything back to the hand, attack for 1,000,000, and we're now 4-0 with blue-red Giants. Here we are for game 5. Opponents on the play. If they are aggressive, they're going to destroy us, but if not, the hand's pretty sweet. And this is the same as pretty much any opening hand in this deck. We're going to have just a ton of late game cards and cross our fingers in the early game. Most decks, I would mulligan this instantaneously because we're not doing anything till turn 4, but this deck is not most decks. Alright, now we have a Mists of Liara to play early game to stop their first kind of attacking creature to help gain us some life, give us some more time. Do need to hit some lands here. We're 2 for 2 on non-land cards, which is kind of okay because they are good spells, but if we don't hit the lands on curve, we're going to have a big issue. Battle for Breda card here. It's going to give them 2 1/1s and it's going to duplicate them. Well, we've got a lot of board wipes in the deck that could be decent against that. And they're just 1/1s. They're not going to hit that hard that soon. They're not going to hit that hard that quickly. So they have a 1/1 Human Warrior, a 1/1 Elf Warrior, and next turn they'll get an additional of each. For now, we'll take this 1 damage and hold up Disdainful Stroke in case my opponent goes land and 4-mana spell. That is a 1-mana spell, sure. And I could Mists a 1-power creature or just let it all chill. We're going to let it chill. And start playing some Craven Hulks. This gives our Squash the ability to actually be cast, and if I can get another Craven Hulk on the board, then I can actually block with these, or if I can just hit a land to play Bergstrider, I can block with the Craven Hulk. Right, send in for 3 damage, we're down to 16. No other plays. There's a Surtland Frostpire. If I top deck an island, that's going to be huge. I don't have any other reasonable play than to just play this on the board because I don't have a different land to put out here. I could be on Squash Disdainful Stroke instead of being on Craven Hulk Copy 2, but none of these creatures are valuable enough to want to squash. Especially when I have a potential Frostpire coming up. So I'm just going to play that pass. Hopefully they don't read it. That is one of the things you definitely need to know about this format if you're planning on playing the Arena Open and playing it really competitively. You do really need to keep an eye out on your opponent's lands, because there's a lot of non-basic lands with spells attached like the Surtland Frostpire. So if our opponent doesn't know what Surtland Frostpire does, they might play a bunch more like 1 and 2 toughness creatures here, in which case if we hit the island for the Frostpire, we are going to get an incredible deal off the card. But if they know what Frostpire does, then they know to play around it here, maybe try to juice up some of their toughness if they have anything to do that, or at the very least just not commit any more 2 toughness or less creatures to the board. I'm not going to highlight the Frostpire because it'll get them to pay a little more attention to it here, but it is 2 damage to each creature. So they're going to go ahead and just squash away one of my Hulks so the other one can't block, and we did hit the island, I believe the best play here, even though it's going to put us down a land when we have a 7-drop in hand, is going to be to just wipe the board and scry 2. And there's the 2 more lands we need for the 7 mana for Summoner, so we'll just keep them. Summoner is great. Alright, they've got 4 cards in hand, we've got 5 cards in hand. Got more mana out, and we already have a creature on the board. I think we're actually pulling into the lead now. They've got an Elderleaf Mentor, they could double block Craven Hulk. I could just go ahead and Berg Strider here, and then I have a solid blocker. And we lock down the 3-2. And keep hitting them. Again, just kind of the name of the game here. Take some hits in the early game, but then just start playing 4/4s every single turn and hoping that you have the biggest stuff on board, which we currently do. There's a Merit of the Frost to duplicate the Elderleaf Mentor, which does give them another elf, which is quite good, but what else is quite good is a Cyclone Summoner here for the one-sided board wipe. Unless the Elderleaf is still a changeling, I should have read that. It is still a changeling. That's kind of rude, but the Cyclone Summoner's still a pretty good play. We could have just went for Squash on the Elderleaf there. Yeah, Merit's kind of weird. It still has all creature types after it becomes a copy. Cyclone Summoner's still probably tied with Squash as like the best line for the turn. We could have just went Squash Attack All, or we could have just went Cyclone Summoner. Alright, there's a Maya and another creature. They could double block, but then they take 7. I'll just attack with everybody here. I don't feel I need to squash something pre-combat. It's not going to find us lethal. Alright. I am a pretty big fan of squashing Maya before they play any more lands, to keep them from getting any more blockers for free. And I still have Disdainful Stroke up for the Elderleaf Mentor, so they can't get the 2 blockers down, or if they hit a better spell to cast, like a Doom Scar or something for a full board wipe, we can also counter that. Essica's Chariot, that's even better than Elderleaf Mentor, and we'll definitely counter it. Pass the turn, and we're just going to crack back with our Giants, and that is 5-0 now. We are officially in the money, in the value this draft, no matter what happens. So again, an excellent draft here. Really just haven't hit the matchups where we get punished super brutally for our slow starts, and it's been really paying off in dividends here, getting 1,600 gems and 4 packs back out of the 1,500 gem event, no matter what happens now, heading into round 6. Here we are on the play for round 6. A mono red hand, but we have an early Frostbite. Be a pretty greedy keep, but I could see some players with LSV levels of greed keeping the hand. I get there sometimes, but I think I am going to mulligan this one. Alright, much better in terms of having both colors. That being said, we still need to draw a lot of lands for this hand to function well. I think we get rid of the Craven Hulk and cross our fingers here, because Battle of Frost and Fire is a huge win con for us. Agar is also great. Maybe we get rid of Bergstrider. Maybe we just try to curve out. Depart the Realm, Agar, Hulk, Battle of Frost and Fire. That's our 2, 3, 4, and 5. I mean, Depart the Realm's the weakest card in the hand, but we are on the play. We are on the play. It's the weakest card in the hand, but it's the only one we know we can cast. The fact that I'm on the play here means I'm just going to get real risky with it and drop the 2-drop. If I was on the draw, I think I would get rid of probably like Bergstrider or Craven Hulk. But since I'm on the play, I am going to be a little bit ahead from the start. Don't have to play on the back foot immediately to play super defensively, unless my opponent has a 1-mana 2/1. Alright, well, now we might be dead. I mean, we're not dead, but we're going to have a hard time. We're probably going to have to cast some counter spells and stuff, and we really, fingers crossed, need to hit every land drop. So far we've missed once. Not draw the land immediately. But that's okay, we had the second land in hand from the start. Okay, yeah, we're going to need to hit every land drop, and we're doing good so far. Do I hold up Saw It Coming, or do I play Agar? If they don't have removal, Agar is going to keep attacks off of us, or potentially trade into something and draw us a card. I feel like I have to curve out with Agar rather than playing Saw It Coming, otherwise I just take 4 on board no matter what. If I get them to spend time casting removal, it's time spent not committing more creatures to the board. I'm going to go Agar here. Fingers crossed, no removal yet from our opponent. They just have like squashes in hand that'll cost them 5 mana that they don't have. Because yeah, if they don't have removal, this just locks their attacks down. I guess if they have a run amok, they still get to attack. Or if they have a gold vein pick. Okay, if they don't have non-creature spells, they can't really attack here. They do have non-creature spells. Bound in gold it is, at least, as I said before. That means they don't get to put another creature on the board. Unfortunately, we are missing land drops now. We're 2 mana away from a Battle of Frost and Fire, and if we don't get there, we're definitely going to die. Skier Shieldmate for a 2-1. Yeah, you got it. And just boast. Dang it, I was hoping they were going to have a better 2-1 they were trying to get out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I've got 1 draw step here. I counter whatever they use to try to find lethal, and then I've got 1 turn to hit the board wipe. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage to me. They keep a 1-1 after my board wipe. So I'm going to go to 2, and then they'll have a 1-1 that, kills me with the helm. Yeah, I needed to counter that. Oops. Because they can put the helm on the 1-1 that they get from Battle of Frost and Fire. Well, that's a misplay, but we were pretty much going to win, or going to lose no matter what here. Especially if I don't hit the land here. Alright, I didn't hit the land, so that was a guaranteed loss. But that was a misplay. I needed to counter that. I figured, well, I go to 2 life against a 1-1 once I board wipe. But I go 2 life against a 1-1 that they can put a +1/+1 equipment on, so. Brutal stuff. I think we would have won if we missed 0 land drops, but that would have been incredibly lucky to do so. We would have had to win a lot of coin flips. So 5-1 it is. Finally get punished by our worst matchup, which is against an aggro deck. Super rough we had to take a mulligan and keep a risky kind of hand like that, though, in that matchup. Would have preferred to just lose to the bad matchup the natural way with a 7-card hand that I'm excited about, and then be like, oh, it's the bad matchup. Okay, well, that's a keep. Here we are on the play for round number 7. Nice slow hand as you do, but we've got that Battle of Frost and Fire to just stop all the goodies that our opponent plays in the early game. Ooh, and now we have a turn 3 Glorious Protector. That's beautiful. That will get blown up by our Battle of Frost and Fire, but it might be valuable enough to just slam it down turn 3 anyway. Depending on what we can get from doing so. Yeah, if our opponent doesn't put too many creatures on board, I might just save Battle of Frost and Fire for much later, and instead just flash in a Protector and kill their Sentinel as a surprise blocker. Yeah, if they just go straight to combat and attack here, I think I'm just going to play the 3/4 Flash Flyer and kill the Sentinel. And then we just start disdainful stroking everything they try to do. Play Clarion Spirit, that kind of changes things, because they're going to make the board state wide very easily with that card. They're probably casting 2 spells immediately this turn. I could Frostbite it here, but I'm just going to keep it in hand because Battle of Frost and Fire coming up. I could be tempted to Disdainful Stroke the Packmate, because that does draw them a card even if I can kill the main portion of it. Yeah, I'll Disdainful Stroke that. I do need to hit 1 land draw this game to get to the Battle of Frost and Fire, so. Alright, cool. We did get there. So play the island past the turn, holding up Glorious Protector plus Frostbite if we try to do things that way. I do have a Surtland Frostpyre as well, so if I get to 6 mana, I could even just sack the Frostpyre and kill everything that's currently on the board without even casting Battle of Frost and Fire. And that would be one-sided. I can keep my 3/4 flyer on board against the 2 damage that Frostpyre does to everything. Frostpyre is a red, double blue, and 2 to activate, so I would need to hit 6 lands total, but I have the correct colors of mana to do it. Again, not going to highlight it. Well, my opponent might not be checking out my lands. Rally the Ranks, buffing all creatures of a certain creature type. Okay, 2 damage is not going to be enough to kill some of their stuff probably here. I can't Disdainful Stroke that. Spirit is the chosen creature type, so not going to be enough to kill Clarion Spirits. I could use Sentinel to equip the pick, get a treasure here. But yeah, next turn we're just going to go Mountain, Battle Frost and Fire then. They're down to 2 cards in hand, this should be fine. And again, I guess I could still just flash in Protector and kill the Clarion Spirit naturally, but I'm just going to kill everything on board with the battle. To the battle house. Glorious Protector only exiles creatures. If it could exile any permanent, it'd be kind of tempting to tuck away a Battle of Frost and Fire under it. So whenever they blow up the Protector, I just do 4 damage to all non-giants, but can't do that. Cyclone Summoner. Unfortunately, I don't have the mana to do that and pick up the battle, but that is always fun when it's a possibility. Keep a Bergstrider and a Squash here. I think I'm taking Squash first. Because I don't really want to trade into Horizon Seeker. And I don't have enough snow permanents for this. I need 3 snow lands, right? I need 3 snow permanents. If I have a Bergstrider on board, this does 3 damage. Which does kill the Horizon Seeker. I am on Bergstrider first. Bergstrider plus kill Horizon Seeker is my play next turn. And I get to draw 2, discard 1 on Battle of Frost and Fire? Yeah, sure. Because I'll play a 5 mana spell then. Cool. This turn we take a hit from Horizon Seeker, and then we just slam down a Glorious Protector, and we're holding up a Disdainful Stroke. Go down to 9, they get to pull a land out of their deck and get a treasure token. I was about to say a food token. I've got my wires all crossed with my draft formats. Alright, grab a basic land of their choice. Mountain it is, a splash land. Very cool. They've already got all their splash colors from the treasures though, so. Here's a Glorious Protector for a 3/4 flyer. Decline. Maybe instant speed removal in their end step? No, they're just passing. Okay, so Bergstrider hold up the red. I get to draw 2. Discard 1. And have a Frostbite up for 3 damage because I'll have 3 snow permanents on board. Don't have my Disdainful Stroke up anymore unless I hit a another land here. Broken Wings. Kill the Protector? Sure. That's fine. Okay, would I rather be able to hold up Disdainful Stroke? Or just have these other powerful spells? I'd rather just have the powerful spells. I'm going to discard the island and just Frostbite Seeker as the likely play during their end step. So they can't do it when they're tapped out because they have 2 treasures, so they have enough mana for like Snakeskin Veil and stuff no matter when I try to Frostbite. I might as well see what they play here and see if there's something I want to kill more than Horizon Seeker. It looks like their most valuable creature is still Horizon Seeker, so we'll just kill that. Although, bouncing Elderleaf Mentor is a lot worse with Cyclone Summoner than bouncing Horizon Seeker is, because then they get to recast it, get another elf, so actually pretty reasonable to kill the Mentor here. And then whenever we hit the land, just bounce Horizon Seeker. And I still have a Squash. Since I didn't hit the land, I probably just use Frostpire. Kill the rest of their board. They're down to 1 card. You probably don't have haste. Sorry, Cyclone Summoner. This happens a lot, where I'll cycle away the Frostpire and then just have the Cyclone Summoner trapped in hand for a while. But we've got 2 counter spells and a removal spell now, so we removal spell whatever they play this turn, then we just counter everything they play and just hit them 4 times with Bergstrider. That's the plan. Squash the creature they play this turn. Saw it coming in Disdainful Stroke their next plays. And hit them 4 times with Bergstrider. Starnheim Courser and Masked Vandal. Okay, well that's pretty good. They have 2 creatures to play this turn. 9 life, 9 life. Take 3 damage a turn from Courser. That kills us in 3 attacks. We kill them in 4 attacks. Masked Vandal can't hit us through our 4/4 Bergstrider. I guess I gotta just squash the Courser and just chill. Awkward. I'm gonna do that before they draw anything, because I can counter any other big threats they play, so I don't need to have removal for the next threats, I just have counter spells for them. Alright, and obviously we're gonna Disdainful Stroke first, because Disdainful Stroke can only counter cards that cost 4 or more, but Saw It Coming can counter anything, and they both cost the exact same mana cost now that I foretold the Saw It Coming. Bloodline Pretender, well, yeah, big enough threat. Just counter it. Treat that as a removal spell. Okay, Cyclone Summoner's not going to bounce anything, but it's a 7/7. I want to bounce Rally the Ranks and the Goldvein pick, so it lets me get a Bergstrider attack, I guess. Oh, and it kills the treasures? I mean, I'm still going to play it because it's a 7/7 here, but we've got 1 turn with no Disdainful Stroke, so hopefully no 4 mana plays from our opponent this next turn. And then we just take over with a 4/4 and a 7/7? Yeah, they're just going to scoop them up. Just a big old 7/7's too much for them, and we are now 6-1, potentially getting a 7-win run with this Blue-Red Giants deck. Excellent, excellent stuff here. Much better than I thought this deck was going to do at face value just from looking at the deck list, but been running very hot today. We're heading into the final boss. Here we are now in round 8 with a hand I almost definitely should not keep. We have no blue source. The only castable spell is Frostbite. If I hit any land, though, I get to seize the spoils, which gives me the blue source, and I have a Glorious Protector for only 1 more mana. Very tempted to keep this. Our opponent's also on the play, which means we're on the draw. Our deck does not have a lot of early game plays, so having like all of them in the opening hand is kind of sweet. I'm gonna go risky with it. Again, any land gives us Seize the Spoils, which then gets us all the way to whatever we need to play. As we're drawing multiple cards to dig for more lands, we're getting treasure tokens potentially. Could be good stuff for us. I'm gonna foretell the Glorious Protector here because Frostbite's not gonna kill Finn anyway. Playing against green-white here, taking 2 poison counters right off the bat from Finn the Fangbear, and they don't have a turn 3 play, so we're not punished for the slow keep. Now I can just seize the spoils, get some treasures, and go to town, or I can just Glorious Protector. That's really tempting too. I'm just going to do that, I think. Play a 3/4 flyer. And Mists of Lit Yara is actually looking pretty okay here. Just shutting off Finn's ability to deal damage will make it so Finn's not getting any poison counters on us. But Yara Glade Warden. Well, I don't have any way to counter that, so that's just going to resolve here. But that's a pretty scary card later in the game, letting them put more counters on their other creatures by exiling stuff from graveyard. So here's Glorious Protector. We draw for turn and we hit the blue source. Beautiful stuff. Now I get to hold up a Disdainful Stroke and I can Mists of Yara if I don't use it. I could still seize the spoils and hold up Disdainful Stroke off of that still. Discard the Frostbite because it doesn't kill anything on their board till I get 2 more snow permanents, which feels like it'll probably take some time. I can also discard Craven Hulk because it's not a great blocker. Or just depart the realm because it's not that high impact. But it feels easily castable enough that I'm probably keeping it. Yeah, let's actually seize the spoils here. I think I'm getting rid of Craven Hulk, honestly. Hit a Basalt Ravager and a Surtland Frostpire. Okay, we've got the treasure up, so we can still hold up Disdainful Stroke and all that nonsense. I play super slow here and just protect myself from Glade Warden. I don't think so. I think I'm dying quicker to poison than I am damage right now. I don't think I need to block the 3/3 Glade Warden. Let's keep getting poisoned, friends. Alright. 6 poison counters now from Finn. If Finn hits me 2 more times, we are dead to poison. There's Grizzled Outrider as the play. I will go ahead and Disdainful Stroke that. If I hit an untapped land, which I did, I could Basalt Ravager plus Frostbite to kill Finn and be safe against poison. I can also still just Mists Finn and not worry about him. Mists Finn, and then I hold up Frostbite for something else. Then I can Ravager Frostbite the Glade Warden later instead. Or if I get enough creatures, I can kill the Glade Warden without having to spend 2 cards into it. Yeah, probably fine. I'm probably just going to Mist Finn. Racing 3 damage a turn versus 3 damage a turn. They're hitting me first though, so they are winning the race by a little bit, but we've got all these great cards coming up. Don't know what they have, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. Fall of the Imposter. They get to put +1/+1 counters on their creatures and then exile our best creature. That's pretty big here. Alright, put a counter on Finn. I might just bounce Finn instead then. Make them recast him. If I bounce Glade Warden here, they don't have the mana to recast it, so that really slows them down. That being said, then I'm at 8 poison, so if Finn hits me 1 more time, I'm dead. Super tempting. Super tempting to bounce Glade Warden because they don't have 4 mana to replay it. Nah, we gotta just play it real safe against this Finn, I think. Bounce Finn. Take 3. I don't want to get 10 poison counters on me. I don't want to lose that way. Elven Bow. Okay, no Finn this turn. I don't get to Ravager Finn up then. Just sad. That was going to be my follow-up play here. Was going to be Ravager Frostbite on Finn. Still doing that on Glade Warden's decent. Might be the play, and then I still have Mists to use later. Oh, Bergstrider's great here. Yeah. Bergstrider it is. Lock the Glade Warden down, play a Mountain. Next turn they get another +1/+1 counter from Fall of the Imposter. Turn after this is when they get their removal, so they'll exile the Bergstrider. So a 3/4 elf with the bow on it. Ravager now doing 2 damage on its enter the battlefield because we'll have 2 giants on the board. Bound in gold on the Glorious Protector. Unfortunate. Now there's a question of who wins the race. If I hit a snow land, I think we're definitely winning, because then I have the snow permanents to go ahead and frostbite Finn. Do not have the snow permanents to do so, though. I only have 2 of them. I could crack the Frostpire and Frostbite. Seems bad. They're going to exile my Bergstrider, so I'm going to have no creatures left after this. This is super bad. Yeah, no, I think they're winning now. So Bergstrider's going to die after they untap anyway, so I might as well hit them here. Because they're just going to exile it. Hit for 4, they're down to 7. 2 mana for Mists of Liara. I can do 4 mana for Ravager and 2 for Frostbite still. Ravager, Frostbite, the Glade Warden away, because it's technically their biggest creature. That elf is a 2/2 with an equipment on it, and Finn's just a 1/3. The fact that I have to double up my removal is so rough here. Oh. Yeah, I mean, Ravager's only going to do 1 damage in the future. I guess that's still enough to double up with a Frostbite. Okay. Does not feel great. I'm killing Glade Warden here. And we're holding up a Mists of Liara. Oh, kill the 4/2. Let us keep the 4/4. You're just trying to hit us for like 1,000,000 damage this turn? Or do they just have another removal spell? Okay, fair enough. Okay, so we are shutting off Finn and playing off the top here. We got 3 turns to draw into something, because we get hit for 3, we're down to 7. It takes 3 swings to die from 7 life against the 3/4. We're in top deck mode. But we've seen our deck, we know our deck. We've got some really strong top decks that could get us out of this. Whoa, no attacks with the elf. Okay. I guess we've got 4 turns to top deck. Oh, playing it safe. We do have a lot of red cards here, so they could be scared of what we could top deck into. This is tremendously awkward, but I'm pretty sure I need to scry 2. So goodbye, Frostbire. Cravenhold does not do it. We just gotta scry towards some plays here. Rootless U, that is horrifically good for our opponent. Even if we kill that, they get to grab a 6 toughness creature from their deck, and we're just going to lose the top deck war here. Pretty classic way to lose a game of Magic. Unfortunate nonetheless. Hit 4 bad draws in a row, scried 2 of them away. Do not get there in the end. We're going to be 6-2, but hey, that means we get to play the maximum amount of games of Magic in this event. We get to play 9 full games. 6 wins and 2 losses, heading into the full stress final round, final boss. Here we are for today's final game of Magic with a solid opening hand, having all 3 of our colors and a replicating ring, and some cheap interaction. Our opponent's on the play though, so if they are aggro, it might be over, and white is the most aggressive color, followed by red. So could be a bad time for us. But again, our hand's pretty decent, one of our most interactive hands in terms of cheap plays. But they are red-white, they are the 2 most aggressive colors in the format. And my life is mildly flashing before my eyes, but we'll see. Throw the Mists of Liara onto the Story Seeker. And a Battlefield Raptor is the next play. And foretell a card, alright. We're stopping some damage, we're chilling. We're chilling. Now we play a Replicating Ring and pass the turn. I've played against a lot of Showdown of the Scalds today, good lord. Card is tremendously good. Draw 4 cards. Huge swinging card advantage. They can't afford to cast all of those cards next turn. So at least they're only like drawing 3. Because they probably go Usher, Story Seeker, Raven Wings for 5 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still tremendously good. A draw 3 and put 3 counters on Raptor is pretty busted. Definitely want to set up for the Frostpire to be a thing later. Ravager's not going to do anything until I have another Giant on the board. I'm either holding Depart the Realm to just bounce the Raptor, or I'm just playing a Hulk so that Ravager shoots for 2 the turn after this. If I had 1 more mana, it would be so easy, like play Hulk and hold up Depart. I guess because they're probably playing Story Seeker plus Firewalker next turn, I'm just going to Depart the Raptor. I guess they get more counters because they get counters the next 2 turns. I guess we play Craven Hulk. This is brutal. We're just hoping to get a ton of mileage out of Depart the Realm here because Raptor's going to hit us for like 4 damage this turn because they cast 3 spells off the Showdown. They just go Ushers, Story Seeker, Raven Wings. Probably their line, yep. And they put all those counters onto the Raptor. So here's Usher. Here's Story Seeker. And here's going to be Raven Wings. Yep, ton of counters onto Raptor. So I don't have the mana to activate Frostpire next turn, so I can spend next turn... Oh, I do because of the Replicating Ring, actually. Still feel like it's better to probably just Depart the Raptor. But then they recast it, Showdown gets them to put a +1/+1 counter on something. I guess I Frostbite whatever they try to put the counter on. So 2 mana to Depart Raptor, 1 mana to Frostbite. I don't play a blocker if I do that. Rough, but kind of okay. Alright, chump block with Story Seeker, sure enough. Yeah, I think I'm going to Depart the Realm and Frostbite here. Call the Forge Master. Counter onto the Story Seeker. We're going to try to Frostbite that, hope they don't have instants. They have 1 card in hand and 1 in exile. They need an instant to win this. Out of their 2 cards. Alright, they don't do anything there. That's A-okay. Cool. Go to combat. Send everybody in. I'll take 6. They'll boast another creature out, sure. Please choose your Battlefield Raptor for whatever combat trick this is. It's a Demon Bolt. Please put a counter on Raptor. Please put a counter on Raptor. Please put a counter on Raptor. Thank you so much. Now everything else dies to Frostpire, so we blow up everything, and they just have a Raptor in hand, and that's it. And then I go Agar Ravager to kill it. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. 4 mana for Ravager, 3 for Agar. Get rid of the Hulk, but keep the island here. I think still got some big plays in the deck to try to get to. Play the Raptor, throw a Raven's Wings onto it, play a land, and pass. Could definitely recover. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not enough to play 2 spells here. So we just play... I think I just play Hulk first, because Agar doesn't draw us a card unless we deal excess damage. And if I just play Basalt Ravager next turn, I'm only going to do 2 damage to their 2 toughness creature. That is not excess damage. I did hit a land, which means now I get to go Agar plus Ravager, and then it is excess damage, and I draw a card. They're down to 1 card on board. I've got a great board state and another card in hand. And it's a Bergstrider. Okay. Huge swing in the game here from our Surtland Frostpire. Incredible land. There's a Frenzied Raider for them that I can tap down with the Bergstrider to keep hitting them in the face, and we're 2 swings from just killing them. Let's just go for it. Breakneck Berserker for a haste creature they can give flying to and hit me for 4. But that is not going to be enough. We're threatening lethal here if they don't have some kind of fog to prevent combat damage, and they're going to scoop them up, meaning that they don't. That is going to be a 7-win run from this Blue-Red Giants deck. Again, I think we were really lacking on those early game plays, but we just picked up so many powerful cards for the late game throughout the draft. Having multiple board wipes has been tremendously helpful for us. Having both a Surtland Frostpire and a Battle of Frost and Fire. Honestly, those 2 are the easy MVPs of the deck because they're so important to recover against the early aggro decks, because we really just don't have a great early game against them in the first place. Biggest underperformer, probably Mists of Lityara. It kind of did the job that I was expecting it to do in some of those games, like in that last game, stopping the Story Seeker from doing some damage to give us some more breathing room. But in a lot of those games, it was just doing absolutely nothing. It was pretty horrible. Pilfering Hawk was also pretty bad, of course. The Part the Realm wasn't incredible. But yeah, everything that we had from really like half of our 3 mana cards and then everything at 4 mana up was incredible. The Craven Hulks were awkward, of course. Not being able to block was huge, but so many really high impact plays. Bergstrider, a huge MVP, Squash, the Frostbite, all the interaction, and the biggest plays being the 3 board wipes actually. Frostpire, Battle of Frost and Fire, and Cyclone Summoner, which isn't a permanent board wipe, but it still does a lot of work. So excellent stuff from just our really big, really high impact cards. Just lucky to draw them a decent amount of the time, and it's going to turn what looked like a really average, maybe 2-3, 3-3 deck into a 7-2 run. Just some good luck, some good draws there. You can definitely win it with some varying decks. So very cool stuff today. Nice Blue-Red Giants deck. But that is going to end today's video. As always, if you want to see some more videos like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more in your recommended feeds. You can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, where I'm going to be streaming more Kaldheim drafts live, because I absolutely love this format. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Well, that is going to end today's video. That's all of the housekeeping out of the way. So one final thing, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.